Welcome back to Sanctuary with Alice, where I share yoga, meditations, and affirmations to bring more wellness into your daily life. Today we will be covering more advanced poses, but don't worry, I will give you a walkthrough for the next 24 minutes. So let's begin in seated pose, setting our intention for today's practice. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. As you relax your shoulders and think about what you hope to practice today, where you want to bring your attention, you're going to continue breathing. We're going to be covering 12 poses today. So our first pose is going to be dolphin's pose, and how you get into that pose is by coming to all fours and slowly coming onto your forearms. Your hips are raised, your hips are directly above your knees, as you see. And then we're going to tuck in those toes and slowly lift our hips. Now make sure that your shoulder's above the elbows and you're dropping your head. So you're letting your head hang. And once your hips are raised, you're going to walk your feet closer to you. At the same time, we want to push away from our forearms. So we're almost bringing our shoulders closer to our legs and our legs closer to our shoulders. I want to see a 90-degree angle with your arms, just like that. You're going to feel a nice stretch in your triceps. Now we're going to lift one leg and then the other. This is in preparation for handstands and forearm stands. This is a great way to stretch those calves and hamstrings. You could come down and take a rest if you would like before going back to the pose. You can also clasp your hands instead of having them parallel to one another. So there's a couple of variations here. Whatever you do, continue to breathe. You're going to lift one leg and you're going to try to kick it up. So you're going to try to, again, get into a forearm stand. I like to do this pose against the wall. That's why I'm not in a full forearm stand. But you can practice kicking your leg up in the air to prepare for a forearm stand if you're brave today. Now come to your heels. You're going to sit back, just take a breath here, and we're going to come to our next pose, number 2, which is pigeon pose. Now, pigeon pose deeply opens the hip and glutes, and it stretches the hip flexors and lower back. So what we want to do is bend the left leg, making sure that foot is flexed to protect the knee. Extend the right leg behind us, and we're going to open up that chest, tent our fingers, and before we come to the mat and before we do the king pigeon pose, which is our next pose, we're going to hang out here and prepare for the king pigeon. So king pigeon is essentially when we hold our foot and with the other arm we try to hold our foot as well. So it kind of looks like this. A complete king pigeon pose would be both of my hands touching the foot, but that's hard. You want to keep your foot pointed. You want to keep your chest open. And for those of us that can't touch our foot, I was able to do that a few years back. You could just have your hand at the gape of your neck. Whatever you do, the most important thing is keeping your chest open, and I'll show you how to do this on the other side too. So bring the leg back. Let's bend the right leg. And we're going to make sure that the foot is flexed to protect our knees. So this pose can relieve lower back tension and help with hip mobility. So again, let's prepare here. So our chest is open. Our fingers are tented or our palms are flat on the mat. And we're squaring the hips. Whatever we do, we want to square the hips. Keep them aligned. Then bend your left leg, point toes. Hold on to your foot if you can. You could also use straps here. Smile, because this one's not easy. Look at my chest, it's open. Reach up with your arm. And if you can't hold on to your toe with the other arm, just have your hand at the gape of your neck. All right, it's been a few years, so I'm not able to touch my toes with both my arms, but maybe you can, and maybe one day I'll get back to that. This requires a lot of opening in the hips. All right, let's come to all fours and stand, because our next pose, number 4, is going to be Birds of Paradise. So mountain pose is just standing like that. Legs are parallel, palms are open. What we're going to do here is we want to hold on to our leg. So we're going to bring the right arm underneath our thigh and the left arm over our back and over the thigh. So you see how I'm wrapping my arms around my leg? Now we want to shift to the left side. So the left leg, we're standing on that leg. It got to be strong. This is a huge balancing pose, core strengthening pose. And once you have your balance, only lift, okay? Your leg is bent, this right leg is bent. Now extend it only when you have reached that stability. This is one of those poses where you can open up your hips, the shoulders and chest. It improves balance and focus. Most importantly, like I said, it strengthens the core and legs. So we're going to do it again on this side. So right arm underneath the thigh, left arm around our back and over our thigh. And we're going to open up that leg. In yoga, we do one side and then the other. And make sure that the leg is as straight as possible. Go slow, because then you might lose your balance. Take a breather. I'm making it look easy, but this is a multi-step pose. All right, once again. Now we're going to try the other side. So right arm wraps around our back, over our thigh, and then the left hand is underneath our thigh and grabs hold of that hand. We're coming to our right side. We're shifting to our right and slowly raising ourselves. Our left leg is bent. Only when we maintain that balance, we're extending the left leg. And point your foot. Strong core engagement here. Breathe. Breathe in. Breathe out. You'll notice that each side is different depending on your flexibility. Okay, relax here in standing pose or mountain pose. I'm not going to fully cover the mountain pose, but it's a nice transition to Birds of Paradise. I'll show you from the side how we do that. You see how my arms are interlaced? So you can't do this pose if your hands are not interlaced. You could try, but it's definitely going to be harder for you to extend the leg like that. And yep, there's a lamp in front of me. It looks pretty. I'm glad I didn't bang my head, but I'll just look at it. It's a nice distraction. All right, whoops. Come down slowly. You also want to come down slowly so you don't injure yourself. All right. Take a break, take a glass of water, take a breather. This really activates your, also your heart tends to beat fast here. Okay, our next pose is crow pose. This is another pose that is advanced that we can cover in an all levels class. And what we want to do is we want to bring our hips up and the knees will go into our triceps. So ideally you want to have the knees as high as you can, which means you have to lift your hips more. You have to get on your toes. And only when you lock those legs into your arms, you can kind of go forward. You see how my arms are 90 degrees? That's the goal. You want to have the arms 90 degrees. So first you lift, stand on your toes, and try to bring those knees into your triceps. Okay, you're resting those knees against the triceps, so you need to bend those arms, and then when you're steady, bring your feet to touch. Now, ideally, we also want to kick back with our legs, which I was able to do a few years back. I have a wrist injury, so definitely I don't recommend it for those of you who have wrist injuries. And now we are going to do our next pose, number 6, which is dancer pose. This is a wonderful pose to improve balance and stability. It stretches the chest, shoulders, and quads, and it straightens the standing leg and core, enhancing focus and concentration. So here what we're going to do is bend the right leg, hinge your body forward, extend the left arm in front of you. Continue to balance, keep those hips squared. Now kick back the right leg and imagine somebody's pulling you forward by the left arm. And as you're moving forward, you're kicking back your right leg. And you could also bend that left arm, put your hand in a mudra. As you're steady, you always want to keep bringing up the leg and kicking the leg back. Balancing here, excellent. I love this pose. Okay, come back up. Now we're going to come to the other side. So, first step, hold on to your left leg on the inner side of the foot. You could also go on the outer side. Now, you're kicking the leg back and leaning forward, extending your arm in front of you. Keep those hips squared. Don't try to open up those hips, just square those hips. Keep kicking back, keep reaching forward. Dancer pose. Hand in a mudra. Excellent. Continue to breathe here. Inhaling, come back up. All right, take a few breaths. These are difficult poses. For those of us that are still new to yoga, just always relax. A great relaxing pose between these intense poses is child's pose, or just stand or come to a seated pose and pray and put your hands in a prayer. So now to come to standing split, I usually like to come from down dog. So from down dog, we're going to walk our hands back. Okay? And we're going to lift the left leg. Now keep walking your hands back. Keep lifting the left leg. Have our hips squared, and you could also open up the hips if you want. But ideally we want to keep them squared, and then we want to bring one arm to our shins and then the other. So ideally we want to hold on to our ankles with both arms or our shins. And as we're pulling ourselves closer to our leg, the other leg that's extended should come up further towards the ceiling. Standing split. Now you'll be wobbly here, that's fine. You're going to walk forward and bring the leg back. Just do a quick down dog here, and we're going to repeat the same pose on the other side. So extend the right leg, walk your arms back. Okay, keep extending the right leg. You're going to hold on to the shin or the ankle. But first one arm, then the other, so you don't lose balance. And if you could only hold on to your shin with one arm, that's still good enough. All right, let's try. Can I hold on to my shin? Yeah, even if it's for a few seconds, it's all right. Breathe. Yay, keep breathing. Walk your hands forward. And bring your leg alongside the other. Pedal at your feet, or just bring your knees to the mat and come to a nice hero's pose. So we're gonna get into puppy pose next. That's our 8th pose. And this pose opens the chest and shoulders. It stretches the spine and upper back and relieves tension in the neck and shoulders. We're raising our hips, extending the arms in front of us, and we're bringing the chin to the mat. And we're trying to look forward. So notice my forehead is not on the mat, it's the chin. This is calming for the mind and nervous system. It's super uncomfortable, especially if you have a shoulder injury, but what it does is open up your throat chakra, and you could also do this pose with your feet tucked in, if that's easier. It's an intense pose. We usually do that in more advanced classes. Next pose, number 9, is fire log. We're going to be stacking our legs one on top of the other. And what's important, we come to this pose from seated pose, making sure those feet are flexed, both feet are flexed. We're stacking the left leg onto the right, just like fire logs. Now, in order to do that, we need a little bit more mobility in our hips. So let's try to create some flexibility here, just by moving our leg from side to side and lubricating the hip bone. All right, you see my legs are parallel and they're stacked on top of the other. You're gonna have to breathe deeply here. It's an intense pose. Breathing in and out. You see how my legs are stacked one on top of the other, and now I can lean forward to intensify the stretch. Continue to breathe here. Smile. I find that if I smile, I can relax a little bit into these poses. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Continue to breathe here on your own. How does your body feel? Is your mind racing, or is it calm? The whole goal of this channel is to help bring you back to sanctuary, mind, body, and spirit. All right, let's create some flexibility and mobility in our hip. All right, let's try to move that leg a little bit before we stack it on our left leg. So feet are flexed. We're stacking that leg on top of the other. Breathe, and you'll notice that each side is different. That's okay. So ideally I want to have my right knee on my left ankle, but sometimes it takes a while until we get into the poses. So just breathe here, continue to lean forward to open up those hip flexors. Breathing in and out. Deep inhales, deep exhales. You can also place a blanket or bolster underneath the right thigh to create some support. All right, breathe. Excellent. Come back up. Now that we have done a hip opening pose, what we want to do is come into a full lotus pose, our next pose, number 10. Both feet are placed on opposite thighs with knees close to the mat and spine upright. So this promotes deep meditation and calm, opens up the hips and straightens the spine, and it improves posture and focus. So notice it's like a fire log pose, but then we're going to bring the right leg over the left. Look at that. So that takes a few years of yoga to get there. Hands in a mudra. Close your eyes and breathe. You could also keep them open, but I know especially when the poses are intense, I try to close my eyes. All right, breathing in and out. Deep inhales, deep exhales. Smile. You're doing great. Now we're going to go switch. This time we're going to bring the left leg over our right. So it takes us a little bit to kind of get into that pose because it's an intense one. So left leg comes over our right. Awesome. Nice. Breathe. Breathe in. Breathe out. Hands in a mudra. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Deep inhale. And deep exhale. Breathe. Whenever it gets hard, breathe deeper. Whenever your mind races, breathe deeper. And whenever you feel like giving up, breathe deeper instead. You're doing wonderful. Breathe in. Breathe out. This pose definitely quiets your mind. Bring your hands to a prayer. Breathing in and out. It's perfect symmetry in this pose. All right, you can bring your leg to the mat, and we're gonna come to bound half lotus forward fold. But first, we want to move around a little bit because that's pretty intense for the hips. In this pose, we're going to open up the hips and shoulders and stretch the hamstring and spine. And this next pose is going to improve balance and focus and strengthen ankles and calves. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're bringing the left leg against our hip bone. So it's similar to what we just did except standing. We're going to bring the left arm to hold our toes. So our left arm is behind our back and it's holding the toes that's hooked against the right hip bone. And then we're folding forward. So you can keep holding that foot, or you could bring that arm to the mat and just hope that your foot doesn't fall down. It won't. It's pretty locked in there. Breathe. So again, this is one leg is in half lotus, the opposite arm wraps behind the back to hold the foot, and the torso folds forward with the other hand reaching towards the mat, and you can have both arms on the mat. That's bound half lotus forward fold. And we're going to do it on the other side. I tend to rush getting out of the poses especially when they're hard. So what we want to do is intentionally come out of these poses. So now we do the other side. Right leg is bent. Right arm comes around the back, holds onto the foot, and the other arm comes to the mat. Fingers are tented. Now my head is dropped, my back is rounded, and I'm folding forward. And if you feel brave, you can bring the other arm to the mat. Breathe here. Breathing in and out. Deep inhales and exhales. Let's come back up, engaging that core. Bring that leg down. All right, what a practice today. Now for our final pose 12, Hero's Prayer. We're just going to sit back on our heels, bring our hands to our heart center, and be still for a few seconds, being gratitude for today's practice. Let me know what you thought about today's practice in the comments below, and see you in the next one. Namaste.